Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of I Never Knew But My Dog Did podcast. I'm so happy all of you are here, listeners. We're growing, we're building, we're sharing this community, providing resources, hope, and love to one another. And I am all about that. So today's guest, I'm so excited. As I say every single week, I'm so excited. But this week, I'm extra excited because my next guest has a niche and a purpose and a business coming from a place of pain that she now brings to the world. And I think it's such an important, a very, very important thing in this life. And it's all about safety. And so I'm going to introduce you to my guest today. It's Sabrina Osso. She's the founder and CEO of Osso Safe. Feel safe where you live, learn, work, and play. She is a TEDx speaker, #goals, author, and real estate agent on creating and maintaining respect in homes, workplaces, and schools. Sabrina's personal and professional experience with the subject allows her to bring a unique and holistic approach as a solution. She is also a professional dancer, teacher who uses her performance abilities to educate on the subject. As a real estate agent, Sabrina is bridging the real estate industry with Osso Safe, and I can completely see her beautiful self out there dancing. I can't wait to hear more. But without further ado, hi, Sabrina Osso. Thank you for being a guest today.
Thank you, Maureen. Thank you so much for the opportunity. We really appreciate it.
I love it. You are so beautiful and taking the time out of your day to be here for us, for the listeners, and for me. I am so excited. We start off always with I never knew with your knee story. And so I'd like to start off today with your childhood, which is really the foundation of what started you to feeling that your life experience brought you to where you can do this today. So let's start there. Talk to us about your knee story, of what brought you to your knees and made you realize I need this message to go forth into the world.
Yes. Again, thank you for the opportunity. We really appreciate it. I've had enough therapy. I've been in and out of therapy for quite some time to be comfortable enough to say that I am a survivor of violence. My father beat my mother on a regular basis. My mother would beat me. So I know firsthand how traumatic it is, how terrorizing it is, especially as a child, witnessing dad beat up mom or mom beat up dad or whatever the situation is, or you're getting attacked. So, and as I say, your life gets stolen, really, because you can't think about what it is that you want to do in life because you're so distracted by the violence, the abuse, the chaos, the dysfunction. And it took its toll on me. I would have to say it took its toll on me through my young adult until I moved out, my young adulthood, if you will. I moved out, and to kind of keep the interview as meaty as possible. We could fast forward. I didn't start dancing until I was later on in life. I am a dancer, and if I lived in another house that had safety, that had nurturing and positivity and empowering, I would have been dancing as soon as I came out.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. I couldn't even think about it. I couldn't even talk about it. I couldn't. Nothing. So I had to put it on the back burner. And it wasn't until I moved out that I really got to nurture that part of me, dancing. I was a heavy duty clubber. I live close proximity to New York City. So I was a heavy duty clubber and I loved it. I loved the club scene. I was out at all the clubs in New York City, raves. I love techno and tribal and house and trans, and it was just very freeing for me. It was very I had such release, you could say, from all of the pain, and on the dance floor, I just released, and it was such a positive thing. And I loved the DJs, and oh, it was so great. So, um, yeah, and I was dancing in New York City. I was training, and I was auditioning, and I was getting gigs, but I started writing my one woman show called Home Sweet Home question mark. And I played different women being abused. She goes to a good place, that's where the dancing comes in, but then she's pulled back into the terror of violence. And I wanted the show to be educational as well as entertaining and empowering. And I did a lot of research for the show, and I couldn't believe the statistics, Maureen. Like how common this was, how prevalent this was. And I said to myself, wow, I need to make this into a business, a bona fide business with products and services that could really help people. And also, as a pleasant, how do I say, result, I performed this show with my students at the time. And looking back, I said, wow, that's a really cool thing that kind of happened. I performed it on stage with my students at the time, my dance students. And uh, and like I said, it's called Home Sweet Home, and I plan to revive it at some point. I will revive the show. And that's how Oh So Safe was born, really, from this one woman show that I wrote, choreographed, and performed. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from the show. And I want to point out too that we're not a charity, we're not a nonprofit. It's very important to me that this really gets resolved. This whole big, gigantic, enormous problem of violence in the home, abuse in the home. I'm sorry, but we shouldn't have to live with it. We shouldn't have to live with it. It should not be a part of anyone's reality. It shouldn't be in a part of anyone's life, especially a child. So I hope I answered the question as far as kind of summing up how Oh So Safe was born, my background, the show, how it turned into Oh So Safe. Yeah, I hope I gave a good synopsis.
It's wonderful. It was so wonderful. And I think you're right. It's very important because it's so scary, and you see a lot of it in the news, the things that are going on behind closed doors. And we feel like as a society, we don't have the right to intrude on what people are doing in their homes. But as myself being a mental health worker, the results of the adults that come from what's going on behind these closed doors are so long term, and we have to undo all of that stuff. What do you think would be, we're gonna get into what your business does and how you help, but what do you think, the first thing I was thinking was, what is the thing that, because I as a true crime true crime fan, the motto is, if you see something, say something. What do you think in this case about children that are coming from abuse situations, or if we see something, or what can we do when someone is pregnant, or what's a good proactive step to take to help prevent violence in the workplace? I mean, in the home, I'm sorry.
Sure. We have to be much more vocal for sure. And I know it's hard. We realize that it's difficult, right? Like you said, like you pointed out, you don't want to intrude. It's none of your business. Uh, Look, they're the parents, but I could tell you that uh, nothing gets resolved in silence, and nothing ever will. So we need, when we see it, and I think I've gotten more and more courageous besides doing this work. And as a child, I wish somebody stepped in for me because nobody ever did. not family, not friends, not neighbors, nobody. I was alone. I was completely alone. I can't tell you, because as you get older, you could look back and say, and you have history to draw from and say, wow, I wish somebody said something. I wish somebody would have stepped in. Nobody, no one. I could remember in my own house, where I lived, where I grew up in, there were tenants there. And I look back, because my father was he was violent. I mean, you could hear him screaming from outside, from, I would say, down the street. And these tenants never said anything to me, like to take me aside and say, Sabrina, I'm so sorry this is happening. If you ever need to stay here, I know we live right below you, but if you ever need to stay here, if you want us to call the police, if you want us to stick up for you, nothing, 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 nothing. And it would have made such a difference as a child, especially because at least I knew whether I took advantage of that or not, just knowing that, okay, tenant so and so have my back, it would have made such a difference. And I want to say, step in, say something. Yes, you're going to be ridiculed. You're going to be told, shut the hell up. It's none of your business. You stay out of it. I'm fine. These are my kids. Who the hell do you think you are? It's in the book. Regardless, if they're yelling at you, try to stay calm as possible, but stick up for those kids, and even say those kids, I don't want to sound salesy, and it's not about sales. It's about saving and helping these children. Tell those kids, look up Osso Safe Kids, look up Osso Safe. Osso Safe is for you, child, little, if you know the child's name, then call them out and say, what mommy and daddy are doing, it's not right. And you could say, look, I'm here for you. Like, if you know the child in any way, if you're a neighbor, if you're a family member, direct them to our YouTube and our TikTok, and say to them, you are heard. I'm so sorry this is happening to you. You could put your hand to your chest. That kid will see that and say, wow, it's not my fault. It's
Yeah.
not my fault. And wow, I'm not crazy. um Somebody's out there for me. It'll speak volumes. It will speak volumes. I want to say, even to pregnant women, like you said, there's a statistic in the United States, roughly, and I think I have it on my website if I'm not mistaken, about 324,000 pregnant women go into the emergency room, not for pregnant related issues, but for abuse related injuries. I mean, that is just mind boggling. And those are just the ones that are documented. I don't want to rule out males that are in trouble in any capacity. They could be victims too. 1 out of 7 men is abused. Boys, little boys, children are children, whether they're male or female or anywhere in between. Um, they need to be heard. They need to speak out. And we will see too that occurs.
I love all of that so much. And you and I hadn't met before speaking right now. And my own history of domestic violence, I was pregnant, and my ex-husband had me up against a wall choking me. And what I love is that when you say, even if we don't call the police or the authorities, just saying, hey, you have an option. Because when you're a victim of abuse, you never think you have a choice. And that really was my belief. And then the shame, as an abused spouse, the shame is you don't want people to know, because you think they're going to they're going to think that you're not intelligent and you're stupid for taking this. And I'm with you. There wasn't internet back then. I didn't have a support system. I didn't have a family that supported. So giving someone at least a little tiny little window of hope, saying you have someone you can go to. And it takes a lot of bravery. I think about the young teenage girl who came out of that house of horrors in, I believe it was California, where there were 13, her and her siblings. Do you remember which one I'm talking about?
I think so. Gosh, the last name slips my mind. Yeah, 13 children.
Chained to the
Uh,
beds,
a,
and she snuck out of the window at night. I mean, how brave she was. And thank
right.
goodness she had that brave moment to say that she was scared to death, to do that, and she still did it, and found the police, and oh my god, went to a neighbor. And it's those outs that we want to offer to them, even if and here's when you were saying, I know they're gonna be violent to you and say it's none of your business, and all I could think of was, I would rather someone hate me and I save a child than someone like
Right.
me and I protect the abuser, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Excellent point. Yes. And, you know, let it be okay that they yell at you, that they, because no abuser is going to support if you're sticking up for the child. They're going to say, I had a bit of an altercation in the parking lot of the bank that I bank at. It was a TD bank. And I could see that the father was with his daughter, the two little girls, sisters, and he was very disparaging to them, very, and you could tell the face of the girls, the little girls. And I was actually speaking to my therapist. I had a phone session with her, and I happened to be there, and she's listening to me, my therapist. And I just said, I'm talking, I'm speaking out. And I called out to him. I said, sir, is everything okay? Is everything all right? Because I see that you're yelling at your child, and I just want to make sure that things are okay. Right away, he got defensive. He like crossed his arms like this, and he went into a, I'm a dancer. He went into like a second position, like both legs planted into the ground. Like, who do you think you are? And right away, he said, am I abusing my daughters? Am I sexual? He actually said, am I sexually abusing my daughters? And I thought, wow, he may be doing that behind closed doors, because I didn't insinuate anything about sex abuse. I said, I put it into a positive, or as disarming as possible, but to let him and the kids know, I'm watching you. I see, and I'm letting you know that I see, and this is not okay. So it went on for like a couple of minutes, and those girls were watching me. Like, I saw them watching me, and I knew, like, if anything, they knew that I somebody was speaking out on their behalf. And they were teeny tiny. I would say maybe 6 and 3, 5 and 2, something like that. And I stayed in the parking lot. He went in his car, and he was there for the full hour until I left, which was very strange. And my therapist said, be careful, Sabrina. But she heard me. She said, you did great. You did great. What you said, how you said it. And then I left because my therapy session was over, but he was still there. And I said to myself, if anything, those girls will remember that incident and hopefully speak out. Um, but I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I go off on a tangent.
No, that was
Uh,
great. It was talking about just, having to confront it, and it sticks with you too. Could we
yes,
even could we even go a step further and take a picture of the license plate and maybe just say, hey, can you do a welfare check on these children? I mean, is that appropriate?
well, I want to say, and I have personal and professional experience with this, so I'm very confident in what I'm about to say, but do not even bother calling Child Protective Services. I I've had enough experience where they make matters worse. And I want to say that they need to, and I've made posts about this, they need to rename themselves APA, Abusive Parent Protection Agency, because that's who they protect. If you have had a good experience with them, being that you're a survivor of violence, great. That's great. But more often than not, Maureen, they protect the abusive parent and they deem the child safe. Meanwhile, there's verbal, physical, sexual abuse, even if there's pornography involved, even if there's a BDSMer in the house, for crying out loud. And I could talk about more in detail about that, but and BDSM stands for bondage, domination, sadism, and masochism. I mean, these child protective services are horrendous, I have to say. And I'm speaking from, I live on the East Coast. I've heard of horrible stories on the West Coast. Uh, uh, just even in my TEDx talk, I mention it. And I had people in the audience that were fostered due to child protective services. They came up to me, these kids that are now young adults, and they said, Sabrina, thank you so much for saying something. I'm so glad that you said it in your TEDx talk, but we're a product of the system. And you are 100% right about how child protective services make matters worse. And with our product, the core product that we are introducing into the real estate industry, the Osso Safe Home Sweet Home package, you won't need the courts. You won't need child protective services. Everything gets resolved in residency, in your home. Yes, the police are there to reinforce security, but beyond that, everything gets resolved in residency, and the courts, they make matters worse. Child protective services, the laws, it's horrendous out there. And I would say, like, yeah, if you see something, say something. You're better off calling the abuser out and saying, I saw what you did. You don't have to call the police. You can. And then child protective services will get involved. And I could tell you, unless drugs are involved, they're going to say, this child is safe. You're the parent. This child is safe. Everything is fine for the most part.
Yeah.
So you're better off calling the abuser out and say, I'm watching you. I saw what happened, and get the kids to speak out. Get the kids to speak out, because everybody speaks on that child's behalf. The lawyers, the mediators, the parent coordinators, the child protective service agencies, the abusive parents, the abusive step parents, and the judges. And who needs to speak out on their own life? The abused kid, the abused, violated child. Let the child speak and create an atmosphere of safety where they feel safe enough to speak. Don't bring them into the courts. Get them into, like, the schools. The schools would be a good environment for them to speak out, and create that environment. Like, look, if you want to talk to me privately, don't call child protective services. Don't even bother. I hate to say it, but I'm speaking from personal and professional experience. Let the child speak and say the Osso Safe Kids cheer. I want to live where I am Osso Safe, and I am Osso Safe with, and name who that is, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a close family friend. Let the child dictate who they want to live with. And if they have no one, we get it. We're working as fast as we can. This is a huge puzzle, and we're doing our best to resolve, to put all of the pieces of the puzzle together. But let the child speak. Let the child speak on their own behalf. And whoever they name, get that child to that person. Don't involve child protective services. A child knows who makes them feel safe. They know who respects them, whether they're teeny tiny, toddler, or a young adult, high school, and everybody in between. I'm sorry, I go off on a tangent, but
No,
uh,
this
um,
is fantastic. And actually, I just went through this, getting guardianship of my grandson. So I'm well versed in the steps to try to get the child. But I can tell you this, the beautiful thing, and this was in Arizona, and the beautiful thing was he was assigned his very own advocate and lawyer, but that was only because we filed this guardianship thing, and that he was able, and she would listen to him. She would privately have conversations. What do you want? Where do you want to live? I agree with you about CPS. They get it wrong all the time. They accuse innocent parents and they don't take care of the things for the guilty parents. And here's my opinion, my thought, that all CPS departments throughout the world or country need to start with, and it's stop focusing on reunification. That is when you see any, especially like the true crime with baby Gabriel, or you see, any of these children that ended up dead. CPS came in
right,
many times, and we want to
right,
make sure we reunify the family and the children. When there's a parent or there's a grandparent or an aunt or
right,
a friend willing to
right.
say, I'll take them. They don't need to be reunified. What do you think?
Not 100%, 1,000%, infinite, absolutely agree, infinite, absolutely. Why uh make the child suffer, go back to the abusive parent, go back to violence and chaos and dysfunction when there is an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a close family friend that doesn't even want any money. They don't even want to be paid. They don't want any financial support from the parent. They could take care of that child 100%. And if you if you see the child, like, at least try it out 6 months to a year, where how is the child doing at school, what is their outlook on life, how are their health habits, how are their eating habits, are they social, are they doing what they love to do instead of activities that are forced down their throats with the aunt, uncle, grandparent, close family friend. If most of those boxes are checked, leave it alone. That means everybody's happy. Let them continue to be happy, because the only reason why the parents want the child, the abusive parents want the child back, is for control, for domination, for manipulation, for possession. And it's back to abuse and verbal, physical, sexual abuse. Why we 100% stop the reunification, because it's already broken. So
Mm-hmm.
why are you trying to put this puzzle back, when, or this, all of these broken pieces, when it's the parent, the abusive parent, abusive step parent, that broke it in the first place? So absolutely, Maureen, absolutely. It needs to be, um if it's working, let it continue to be working, and listen to the child. Listen to that child, because the child, they say the truth. They say, I'm happy with auntie, uncle, grandparent, close family friend. So honor that, respect that. They know who makes them feel safe.
Yeah.
So we need to listen to that, and carry that out. Stop catering to the abusive parents, abusive step parents. And I would say even the schools, they need to stop catering to the abusive parents, abusive step parents. Let the child say, create an atmosphere where, look, little Timmy, little Sally, who do you feel safe with? I see that your grades are suffering, or maybe you have panic attacks, you're always anxious. Why? What's happening? Who do you feel safe with? A much better approach.
Well, and I'm going to call out the court systems, the child court systems here. In Arizona, for example, the child can only make a decision if they're 14 years and over. And I think that's wrong. I think every child should be heard at any age. I don't care what age is it. They know what feels good for them and what doesn't, and whatever is age appropriate to hear them. I think a psychologist should be assigned right away. We had no mention of any psychologist for ours to get a third party to listen to him. The other thing too is not only is it the power, because a lot of times they'll play parents will play that card. I have the kids, the custody, it'll be custody, but it's
Right.
also financial, because you get money, a tax refund for children, you get benefits for them, you get food stamps for them, or so a lot of it is also they're just a money, a meal ticket.
Right.
And here's what I've experienced personally is these judges need to start, excuse my language, getting some balls and making some decisions. Ours
Right.
drug
Right.
out for over a year because our judge never wanted to make a decision. Every single hearing was just, what do you think? Has anything changed? Do you want this? Okay, let's do this. Let's continue this. I mean, they drag it out, and it was clear cut. We were those guardians that said, we want nothing from anyone. All we want is him with us where he wants to be. So the court systems need to start stepping up, making a decision for what is
Right.
right. That's really what I have found, is this lack of this black and white, draw the line in the sand. You have 3 months to be a good parent. Since the report, you need to take classes, anger management, or whatever it
Right.
is. And if there's no change, then we're going to go ahead and give that child a safe environment with the person that the child says they feel safest with.
Yes, yes, and the judges have the last word, right? They hold these abused child's lives in their hands, and more often than not, I have to say, and I'm speaking from, again, personal and professional experience, they're unqualified, they are ignorant on the subject of home violence, uh, on what's best for the child. They say, they preach, we want to do what's in the best interest of the child over and over again. It's a lie. It's a lie. If you have an aunt, uncle, grandparent, close family friend, they're coming forward, they're telling you everything is right in front of you. I mean, look at the history of the child's violence, everything that the parents are doing to the child, the step parents, whatever the situation is, it's all right in front of you, judge. Make the decision. Otherwise, step
Yeah.
down. Step down. You have no business ruling on any abused child's life with your ignorance, your lack of qualification, your uh, uh, what do I say? Negligence, and your um it's like almost lazy law. It's like they don't even care because they have so many cases to go through. Then what the hell are you doing up there, judge, in your black cloak?
Yeah.
Step down.
Even
uh
even politics, Sabrina, because in our case, it was during election time, and I saw his name on the ballot, and I'm thinking, is this just like a political thing where you just don't want to make a decision and piss someone off, and you put the kid at risk? Like, oh my God, even politics, it's like, do you really, you're right, do we, the child's best interest. Nobody knows the child's best interest better than the child, and nobody's listening to the child. And my
right.
grandson spoke it over and over and over. And we were so fortunate that his parents did the right thing for him and said, yes, this is where he wants to be. But had they not done that, oh my gosh, this would have probably been drug out for another year or two, because thank goodness his parents made a good decision, and that was the responsible and loving thing to do. But those abusive parents aren't going to make those decisions and come together with an agreement and say, yeah, I'm fine with that. So
Right.
the courts need to, like, step it up.
Right, right, right. And listen to the child, get the child's input. I don't care if the child is teeny tiny. I'm talking as long as they can communicate. So that means if they're if they're like a year old, you could tell the child's joy in their face if they're with auntie or uncle or grandparent or a close family friend, and then it changes when they're with their mom, dad, stepmom, stepdad, like a abusive parent. You could tell, and you just know, you could feel it practically. A child knows. They know who respects them. They know who makes them feel safe and free and empowered. I mean, it's as clear as day. So never mind the child that can talk, that can communicate, like really communicate, where they're saying, yeah, I want to be with aunt so and so or uncle so and so, or honor that. What's the worst that can happen? Okay, you have a trial period, then judges, 6 months to a year. How is the child doing? As I mentioned, and in the Osso Safe certification for properties, we have that. Are the boxes all checked? Where their appetite, their grades, their outlook on life, are they joyous? Are they, do they, are they, do they put themselves down? Or do you see it in their face that they are so in a chaos environment? Or are they joyous? Are they happy? Are they free to express themselves, and are they, do they speak in a way that's empowered?
I absolutely love your passion about it, Sabrina. And I'm the same way. When I start talking about something that like gets my blood boiling, that I'm so passionate about, and we can see your passion and purpose and how you've made this your life's mission. And obviously, doing that TED Talk because this message needs to go out. So, what I want to know is, what is OSO Safe certification? What does that mean? What do we? How does someone get that?
Yes, we are introducing the Osso Safe certification to the real estate industry, where we're saying we want this to propagate over all residency, whether you rent, whether you own, whether you have a mortgage or not. Uh, but right now we're focusing on the landlord tenant portion of the industry. And we're saying, look, Mr. and Miss Landlord, hire us. We'll get your property Osso Safe certified. They purchased the Osso Safe Home Sweet Home package, which consists of a policy, a seminar, an app, and therapists assigned to the property. So the policy basically states, I allow you to live here. You're not going to act abusively. If you do, you get evicted only, not the rest of the family. Only the abuser gets evicted. And we go into full knowledge knowing that that would be the consequences. It's all in the policy. Also in the policy, as we have been saying throughout this interview, children have a say on who they want to live with. We do not wait until they're 18 years old because, quite frankly, as you would agree, it's too late to wait until they're 18. So that's all in the policy. The seminar is the Osso Safe Home Sweet Home seminar. Everybody gets educated, Maureen, on facts, statistics, warning signs, definitions of abuse, the difference between abuse and discipline, what constitutes a good relationship, just to name a few items. So that way there's no, oh, I didn't know if I pull my partner's hair, that constitutes abuse. Now you know. And the adults and children get educated. Then the app, it detects violent like movements and captures them in real time, issuing alerts to the landlord. So let's say you have a 10-unit building. Oh, I just got an alert. You just beat the crap out of her in my unit 2, and you just beat the crap out of him in my unit 10. Well, that constitutes eviction, expulsion. You knew that this was going to happen. There's no more excuses. So that's the app. And then the fourth component are therapists assigned to the property. So as part of the Osso Safe certification, you are required to check in with your therapist once a month. Is everything okay? Do you feel like anything is looming? Just to give an example, well, actually, our kid came home with bad grades. We're not going to beat the crap out of him. we know better, we're held to a higher regard, a higher standard in an OSO safe certified property, but help us through this because we don't know how to handle this. So there are therapists assigned to the property. All of these components working together makes for an OSO safe certified property, and it's preventative versus waiting for an episode of violence to occur. Then police come, bad news travels fast, and then your well-behaved, safe practicing tenants leave, and then you're stuck with the abusive family. We're looking to flip all of that. Our logo gets placed outside of the property, so that way any vehicle traffic, any pedestrian traffic, where they have a choice like, oh, I'd rather live in an OSO safe certified property versus one that isn't. My kids will be safe here, we'll be safe here. And I just want to mention, I just published a children's book. I know it's kind of backwards, but this is going to be a staple in OSO safe certified properties to teach children to use their voice, that they have choice when it comes to their residency. And it's called Home Safe Home for You and Me. And it talks about the cheer, as we spoke about earlier, to say who they feel safe with, and that granted, they could be scared, but eventually children will say the truth. And abusers, abusive parents, they can only have their poker face for so long. And then their abusive true colors come out. So this is all part of the certification, and it makes for a better residency, safer residency. It's a much better option for the real estate industry all around.
I love this. I could see why you had a TED talk on this. And I was just thinking, wouldn't it be great if insurance companies gave discounts if they had that?
Yes, and we are talking to them as well as mortgage companies to say, look, you should be rewarded as a homeowner, a landlord, a homeowner, that you're taking extra steps to make your property safe. So your insurance rates will go down, your property value will go up. So we're talking to the industry on this
Yes.
level as well. Thank you for
I
mentioning that.
I love that. And then the other thing, being that this is my own personal experience, is a lot of the reason that I didn't leave was the financial. And he was, I needed both incomes. I worked, but he also worked. And without that extra financial, I couldn't feed the kids. I finally did struggle to feed the kids, and we did divorce. But is there, and I know you're not a nonprofit, but giving resources, if I would have had resources, and this is an interesting story. At the time, my neighbor called CPS on me. She used to leave bread and food and stuff on my door because I had to cash in aluminum cans to get milk for the baby. He was 10 months old at the time. And she called CPS, and my first thought was, oh my God, they're going to take my kids. But she was calling CPS to try to get me some help. And I didn't qualify for food stamps or anything like that. I had a job that barely, I paid all the bills. I didn't get any money from him, but I was definitely struggling. Is there something like resources that you can help these families with, so they are brave enough to get out of those situations?
Yes. Well, our whole premise is don't leave. Why should you leave? If you're not the abusive parent and it's the other, your partner, whether you're married or not married, it's irrelevant. You cohabit and you have entered into a real estate contract, whether you rent, whether you own. So there are 3 levels of OSO Safe certification. The first level are the components that I mentioned. If and when violence happens, then you enter the second level of OSO Safe certification. And that's when the abuser is out and we go in with extra therapists and we take the security deposit as a way to get you back up and running. We have 6 weeks to get you back up and running, you, the non-abusive parent, with your children. And it's more about getting you mentally strong, and you're already strong, but to say, look, you can go for that better job. And now that he or she is gone, the abuse is removed. They're not coming back. It's part of the OSO Safe certification. You can get a better job. You can command more more income, and we will help you with that. And you stay right here with your kids. They're safe. They can continue going to school. So that's the second level of certification, where it's more of a confidence and you can stand on your own, because he or she brainwashed you into thinking you're nothing without me. You're not going to make it out there. Who do you think you are? I'm the breadwinner. We flip all of that on that level as well. So it's more making residency safe for all. You as the non-abusive parent, the safe parent, and your children feeling empowered and feeling free. Like, oh my gosh, I don't have to worry. What is he going to do to me? Or what is she going to do to me? And then the third level of Osso Safe certification is if both parents are abusive, the child gets to decide. So it's more of an extension of, look, both parents are abusive. Where do you want to live, little Timmy, little Sally? Do you want to stay here with auntie and uncle? This is all part of kind of reshuffling the mortgage, the house. But that goes into more detail. But I hope I answered the question. Why should you leave? Why should you leave?
I love that, because the one thing that you didn't mention that is so important, especially when children are in an abusive situation, is stability, because they're so used to living in chaos that to provide that stability, they don't have to move, they don't have to change schools, they don't have to go on the run, live in a car, and you remove the fear and anxiety, and now that gives that stability where they can heal as well. And I love everything about that. So tell us where to find you. You've got a YouTube channel, you've got a TikTok, you've got everything. I want everyone to know where to go and find you and see what you're up to.
Thank you so much, Maureen. Thank you so much. The website is ossosafe.com. We are on all of the major social media platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. And for kids, especially, it's for adults as well, but we started a TikTok and a YouTube channel, and it's Osso Safe Kids. And that's where we speak openly to all children, whether they're safe at home or not safe at home, but especially if they're not safe at home. We talk about abuse. We talk about verbal, physical, sexual abuse. We are encouraging them to speak out. We talk about the book quite a bit on the channels, and to say, look, you have voice, you have choice. You're not crazy. You can heal from all of this, and it's not your problem. It's not your job to heal your parents, your abusive parents. You have to look out for yourself. So the channels and the book is on Amazon.com, as well as Barnes and Nobles. I saw it, and Target, and a number of other online stores, if you will. But that's the best way to reach us. And we want to thank you for all of the positive feedback. Thank you for echoing everything that we're doing. This was so great. And I want to say, you just saved your grandchild's life, because it's a grandson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's already growing up to living his best life thanks to you. And I'm so grateful. We'll be all better off for it. And that's how it should be: safety, freedom, respect. And we all, it's a practice, and we all need to practice that. Enough with the abuse, the violence. No, it's unacceptable, inexcusable, and we will see to it that every property becomes Osso Safe certified. Yeah.
I love everything you're doing. And I think, I want the be the change you want to see in the world that you're doing. For me, I want everyone, every single listener, or friends of listeners, family of listeners, to know that this is the age of choice. And that is the one thing that I think was missing for any of us that had been in those situations, is we never felt we had a choice. And by beautiful lights like Sabrina in the world, bringing these resources and freedom for people to speak out, no matter who you are being abused. There's elderly abuse also, so that's something we also touch on is whoever is being abused. I wanted to touch every ear possible that this is the age of choice. And when you feel you have a choice, then you feel you have power. When you have power, then you're able to act on what serves you best and what you deserve in this life. So, Sabrina, I can't thank you enough for your time, your information, and everything that you're doing for children and the world today, because we need you. We need you. And thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. Thank you so much. You were a great host. I really appreciate everything that you do. And this was a great platform. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So don't forget, guys, go to ossosafe.com and that book. I feel like I want to buy a bunch of those books and just keep them in my cart. If I ever do see anything that's going on, I just want to like, hey, here's a nice little book for you. It's just
Thank you. Yes. That's
whatever.
a great idea, actually. Yes, that's a great. I mean,
Yeah.
I carry them as the author, but to
Yeah.
encourage others to do the same. Yes, to any child that is in distress or not, any suspicion whatsoever, it'll give them voice and they could read it. It empowers the kids that are in trouble as well as if they're safe at home. So, and that was intentional. The book, I'm hoping, and from the feedback that I'm getting, it speaks to all. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys for listening today. I hope you enjoyed Sabrina as much as I did and learned quite a few things as I did as well. And, I have to say this, we all have power, and the power that we have is the power of our vote. And so as we're talking about, the legal system and CPS, our voices have power. We can't sit back and complain about what's going on and not do anything about it, because that's what the system was set up for, was the voice of the voters. So I would just encourage everybody to contact your congressman and your House of Representative, anything that you feel you could make a change on. We have to use our voices, and really it has to start from the top to trickle down. And so speak up, use your vote wisely, research your politicians, and make sure that they're doing what serves your community and your family and your children best. So that's my little soapbox moment for right now. But for housekeeping stuff, you guys know where to find me. Life coaching or lifecoachmaureen.com for any life coaching, anything. If you are coming out of abusive situations or post-divorce, or you have trauma from childhood, I work on all of those things, and we help you to release those. And like Sabrina being a dancer, we figure out how to find outlets, how to let go of the past, and how to really set goals for your future, for something to look forward to, so you don't have to carry around any of that weight any longer. So I love you all for being here. Don't forget my books on Amazon. My dog is more enlightened than I am, and my dog is my relationship coach. So we also do dating and relationship coaching, which also will help you to choose the best partner who is not abusive, and how we can help you to look at those red flags before you are in a relationship that you're committed or married to someone who is abusive. So takes one to know one. So I have definite personal experience on how to sort and filter when you're dating. So thank you all for being here. Don't forget all the healthy treats for your puppies. I'm gonna also have some products for kitties soon. So don't forget to go to mydogiseverything.net for all of your products. You can order online, and we'll get those out to you within 24 hours. And I want to say this when it comes to the dogs, as I always say, take care of you, take care of each other, and those furry babies. Today, I saw a gentleman with a dog in the back of a pickup truck. It made me very angry, and I wish that I could have run in front of the truck and made him not do that. So there's a couple of PSAs for me about the furry babies. please do not walk your dogs on a sidewalk that you would not walk on barefoot. And do not put your doggies in the back of a truck, because one, you get rear-ended or you slam on the brakes, your puppy is going through the windshield. They're going to fly out and get ejected. So, treat your dogs as your family. You wouldn't put a child there. So if you're going to be a responsible pet owner, please, I'm asking you to do that for your animals. And don't leave them in a hot car. The cracking the window thing is not sufficient when it's hot. So again, treat your dog as you would yourself and your children. So don't forget to adopt and don't shop. I love you all. Until next week, take care, and we'll see you later.